اللهم احفظ بيت المقدس اللهم احفظ بيت المقدس.
What you just heard was a prayer for Palestine, made publicly in Saudi Arabia. Not long ago, this was unthinkable. Raising a Palestinian flag here could land you in serious trouble. And yet, here we are. The same Saudi Arabia, once expected to normalize with Israel, is now praying openly for Palestine. Something has shifted. The question is this a real break from the past, or just another layer of deception as we move deeper into the final chapter of history?
בית, אני לא רוצה להיות הפרשן של סעודיה, אנחנו עוקבים אחרי הדברים האלה גם כן, אנחנו לא מתעלמים מהם. וברור שאנחנו מצפים מכל מי שרוצה לעשות איתנו הסכמי נורמליזציה והסכמי שלום, לא להצטרף למאמצים שהם, איך אומרים, מכוונים על ידי גורמים או על ידי אידיאולוגיה, שרוצה את ההפך מהשלום, בעצם תוקפת את מדינת ישראל, שוללת את הלגיטימציה של מדינת ישראל, ומטפחת כל מיני גופים שתוקפים את מדינת ישראל. אני חושב שזה דבר מובן מאליו, ולכן הייתי שמח אם יהיה לנו הסכם נורמליזציה ושלום עם סעודיה, בהנחה שסעודיה רוצה הסכם נורמליזציה ושלום עם מדינת ישראל בטוחה וחזקה.
Netanyahu is clearly not happy with Saudi Arabia. His words aren't just arrogant anymore, they're very revealing. When he says Saudi Arabia must prove it's not hostile to Israel in order to earn normalization, he's speaking from a position of assumed hierarchy, as if Saudi Arabia, or any country for that matter, needs Netanyahu's approval, as if the old arrangements are still intact. And many people won't admit this, but Saudi Arabia and Israel have worked together before. Not publicly, not proudly, but strategically. Back-channel coordination, especially against Iran. This wasn't ideology, it was convenience.
I made a mistake, you know. Some 20 years ago, I said Saudi Arabia and Israel were sisters. It was a mistake. Actually, 20 years ago, they were only cousins. Now they are sisters.
And Sheikh Imran Hossein has warned repeatedly in Akhir al-Zaman, in the end times, alliances are not built on truth. They're built on fear. They're built on debt, and they're built on deception. Temporary alignments inside a much larger DAJJALic system. So the real question isn't whether Saudi Arabia and Israel cooperated in the past. They most certainly did. The question is that relationship breaking or being rearranged? Because things do feel different. For example, the Saudi media isn't whispering anymore. The condition of a Palestinian state is being repeated louder. Saudi airspace is closed to any attack on Iran, and Riyadh is quietly acting as a bridge between Washington and Tehran, not as a battering ram.
When Israel recognized Somaliland as a sovereign state, Saudi Arabia quickly dismissed it and instead started to work on a military alliance with Somalia.
From a political view, this looks like Saudi Arabia diversifying alliances. From an eschatological point of view, it could be far more serious, because in the DAJJAL's system, in the Antichrist system, deception doesn't end, it evolves. Sheikh Imran Hossein explains that the greatest deception of the end times is not about open tyranny, but false morality. A world where oppression is repackaged as security, where occupation is called self-defense, where peace is offered, but only if you surrender the truth first. And that's exactly the deal Netanyahu is offering. Normalize without justice, accept occupation as permanent, forget Jerusalem, forget Gaza, forget Al-Aqsa. And Saudi Arabia, at least outwardly, is saying no. But here's where it gets uncomfortable again. Is this a genuine break from the Dajjalic order, or just a tactical pause inside it? You see, Dajjal's greatest trick is appearing to oppose himself, creating controlled resistance, offering hope just long enough to keep people invested in the system. So when Saudi Arabia speaks about Palestinian rights, the real question isn't just what is being said, but what price will eventually be asked. Because Saudi Arabia may keep speaking about Palestine until it secures nuclear capability, until it secures advanced weapons like the F-35 and a clear American guarantee to defend the kingdom. And once those demands are met, maybe then Palestine will quietly disappear from the conversation. Because in Akhir al-Zaman, in the end times, no major power moves freely. Everything is controlled by debt, markets, military dependency and fear. And Netanyahu senses this shift. Saudi Arabia now wants more to normalize, and that's why the tone has changed. That's why Netanyahu's threats are sharper. That's why Israel quietly works to block Saudi Arabia and Turkish military upgrades while publicly demanding peace. Before the 7th of October, normalization was being rushed like destiny. After Gaza, that destiny has cracked. The images broke the spell. And once people start to see things clearly, the Dajjal's system has to adapt fast. The Muslim world, and Saudi Muslims in particular, can't accept normalization while Palestinians suffer. But the Saudi monarchy also knows that for a high price, normalization can be sold as necessity. They've got the money, they'll do it. So what we are seeing today may not be a clean break. It may be something more dangerous, a deeper deception, or just maybe, and I'm trying to be positive as I can be, this could be the first refusal, a real refusal, a refusal by Saudi Arabia, a quiet middle finger to Israel and the United States. And in Akhir al-Zaman, in the end times, even a refusal can shake empires. That's why this moment is extremely important. Do let me know your thoughts. Has Saudi Arabia changed? Or are we watching another carefully managed illusion? Thanks for listening to the Independent Islamic Republic. Assalamu alaikum, over and out.